Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. You see our moniker, you see our thumbnail. So, please hit the like, share, and subscribe. Welcome back to the channel. Let's be clear tonight before I start speaking right out the gate. Karmelo Anthony is not automatically getting a new trial because his team filed an appeal. That's not how that works. Okay? An appeal isn't a do-over trial. It's not a rematch in front of a new jury. So he's not getting a new trial. That's not what's happening. An appeal is a strictly clinical legal audit. Okay? The appellate court's entire job is to review the written trial record by line, just to see if there has been a mistake. Did a reversible legal thing happen? Did something occur that wasn't supposed to occur? Okay? If the trial judge made a minor mistake that didn't change the outcome, the court calls it a harmless error, and the conviction stands. To get a brand new trial, the defense has to prove there was a structural failure, a mistake so significant it poisoned the fairness of the entire verdict. And that painstakingly that process takes months, if not years, to unfold behind closed doors. So Karmelo Anthony ain't getting a new trial or nothing else no time soon. So you can just put that to the side. He's gonna be in that prison. He's gonna be in that prison for at least a year. But it forces us to look at a massive question that we have to. Okay? Could Karmelo Anthony actually get a second chance? And why does this new legal team think they have a legitimate shot? This team was assembled because they feel as though there are some errors that occurred in the trial. But it forces us to look at a massive question. Could Karmelo Anthony actually get a second chance? Could he? You don't assemble that powerhouse, pro bono, appellate team just to push papers around on the damn table and go through the motions. You don't hire that kind of legal team just for that. They smell blood in the water. You do it because you spotted a vulnerability in the prosecution's case. You do it because you smell serious blood in the water. This is a team of 6 or 7 or whoever, however many lawyers he got, all at the top of their field, all at the top of their game. They ain't going in there thinking that they're going to lose. Whether they actually pull off a win is a completely different story. But we need to talk about the cards that they're holding. Okay? You need to talk about the cards that they're holding. Let me play this videotape real quick. Hold on. Let me play this videotape. Because I want y'all to hear from a legal person.
Every issue. The legal team reads in part, quote, our responsibility is to determine whether a legal error occurred and to ensure that every issue supported by the record is fully and vigorously presented on appeal. The appellate process exists for precisely this purpose. Do they have a shot? Joining me now for a closer look is national trial attorney for Mills and Edwards LLP, Dante Mills. Good to see you, sir. Thanks for taking the time. That's quite a team. What does it tell you?
It's quite a team, and it was assembled by Lee Merritt, who's a phenomenal long-term veteran civil rights attorney who pulled this team together. Everybody's working pro bono, and they're putting out the right statement to start. I will say that. They're not saying, oh, he's innocent. Oh, there should be a new trial. They're saying we're going to comb the facts of this case. We're going to comb the record of this trial and see if there was a legal issue. If there was, we're going to put it in front of a judge and have them determine if this appeal should move forward, if it's valid, and if there should be a new trial.
Is there really a legal issue here? Because at the end of the day, it was never really explained why he had a knife. He didn't take the stand. This idea of bringing a deadly weapon to that altercation didn't seem proportional, didn't seem like the reasonable response. What's the legal issue that they would fight for?
I think you're absolutely right. I think the defense attorney initially in this case dropped the ball with the trial because there was never anything put forward to show that he truly feared for his life. Remember, Karmelo Anthony did not take the stand, right? And you didn't have witnesses coming in saying he looked afraid. Without that evidence, I think it was almost impossible to get a verdict of self-defense. That's separate, though, from legal issues. Legal errors, yeah. Yeah, legal errors. A legal error isn't we think he should have won the case. Sure. A legal error is some evidence came in that should not have.
He didn't even have a fair shot.
Well, he didn't have a fair shot because there was a legal error. It has to be grounded in a legal error, not just, I think his attorney could have done better. It has to be something like this video. I think the biggest issue here is that 12 to 14-minute video that was played of Metcalf after he was stabbed dying. I think that was very prejudicial. There was no probative value. I don't think that added to the case, but it was so devastating to watch that video that I think the jury saw that and in their minds may have said, I feel so bad for this victim, there's no way I'm going to go self-defense. So something like that, this legal team could latch onto and say that evidence should not have been presented. It would have impacted the jury and the outcome would have been different.
I'm sure the argument, and I'm sure they'll also make the argument that the autopsy photos were incredibly graphic too, but it would show the degree of this attack. It would show how violent it was. The other thing I was thinking of, look, two other issues. One, no black jurors. I don't know if that's going to be an appellate issue that would be successful. And two, I think there was a question about the jury instruction, about how you frame self-defense and whether if someone's the aggressor or not, can they still be acting in self-defense, if I remember correctly. Do you think any of those issues are going to be successful?
I don't think that the jury issue is going to be successful because
they're going to raise it, though.
They're going to raise it, but the prosecutors put forward a valid reason why they struck those black jurors or those potential black jurors off the panel. They said that because they were educators, they thought educators would have this sympathy for anyone. Remember Karmelo Anthony was a minor. He was 17 years old at the time. An educator could feel that empathy for someone and not want to convict them. As long as you have a valid reason, it's hard to prove that the only reason you voted them off is because they were black. It's a hard hurdle.
I gotta say.
Okay. See, ever since this verdict dropped, it's been a big question that's been looping in my mind. Not whether Karmelo Anthony stabbed Austin Metcalf. We know that he did. Not whether Austin lost his life or he died. We know that he did. The jury already locked those facts in the stone. The real question, the only one that matters right now is, can this conviction actually survive an appellate review? Because when you strip away the courtroom terminology and look at what's happening on the ground, the conversation looks completely different. Let's break it down as simple as this, because the streets and the social media are already running wild with this Karmelo Anthony finna get a new trial talk. Everybody needs to slow down. Just because he filed an appeal and his daddy brought in Lee Merritt and a fresh pro bono civil rights team don't mean he automatically is sliding into court for a do-over. That's not automatic. That ain't how the system works, and we need to stop pretending like it does. Here's the truth. An appeal is not a new trial. It's a review. The appellate court is going to look at the cold record, the transcripts, the evidence the evidence that was presented, the judge's rulings, the way the jury is picked, the instructions the jury got, everything. They ain't sitting up there watching new witnesses or letting Karmelo tell a different story. They're checking for serious legal mistakes that actually could have changed the outcome. Ineffective assistance of counsel, maybe. Problems with jury selection, possibly. But it got to be something big enough that it wasn't harmless error. They didn't assemble this dream team because there wasn't nothing to look at. Most appeals don't result in a full new trial. A lot of them get denied or sent back for smaller error fixes. This process, it takes months, sometimes years. We talking real court calendar years, not just this TikTok shit, TikTok jealousy. Okay. Now I know some folks already talking about railroaded. He got railroaded. He's innocent. He's guilty. He's a murderer. An all-white jury in Collin County, self-defense and all that. But let's be honest with ourselves. Video evidence showed Karmelo Anthony pulling the knife after the confrontation under that rival tent. He admitted what he did. Over 30 witnesses, including black students who were there, said he was the one who wouldn't leave and escalated. The jury, whatever it looked like, deliberated less than 3 hours and came back guilty of murder. They rejected the self-defense claim flat out. That automatically screams injustice. That don't automatically scream injustice. It screams the evidence was very strong. Okay. Now, I've seen discrimination for a long time. I felt it in my bones. I felt it when I went into stores. But we do our children no favors when we act like every conviction involving a black child is automatically rigged and deserves an automatic reset button. Appeals exist for a reason, to catch real mistakes. If Lee Merritt and them find some solid grounds on ineffective counsel or something that actually violated Karmelo's rights, then the courts should address that. That's fair. Me personally, I don't think he should have got 35 years. Okay, me personally. Because there was evidence of self-defense. He never would have got jumped on, pushed, shoved, whatever, if he wouldn't have been under the tent. 2, he never should have got pushed, shoved, jumped at all. Austin Metcalf has to take blame in some of this. His part of accountability. Okay. So does Karmelo. Both need to take their part of accountability. Okay. But we got to teach our young people something. Actions have consequences. Bringing a knife to a stupid teenage beef at a track meet, that's deadly choices. Austin Metcalf's family buried their 17-year-old child. That pain don't get appealed away. So while the lawyers fight this appeal, let's not lose our minds pretending justice is broken just because it didn't go the way some people wanted. The appellate court will do its job when it gets to it. Until then, all this premature celebration or outrage is just noise. We better understand that this is all hype. We deserve the truth. Now let's get to the real meat and potatoes of the appeal. Okay? Because people are out here acting like Karmelo Anthony's new legal dream team is about to magically flip the whole case upside down on his head. You need to slow the fuck down. Appellate work ain't about refighting or fighting the case in front of a new jury. It's about tearing apart the trial record with a fine-tooth comb, looking for real legal mistakes that might have tilted the scales. Here's what they're probably digging into, and I'm keeping it real with all of y'all. First, they're probably digging into these couple of things. First, jury selection. This is the one everybody's screaming about. The defense threw a fit when black prospective jurors got struck from the panel. They argued those strikes were straight up racial. Now look, I said it before and I'll say it again. You shouldn't have an all-black jury deciding a case with a white victim, and you damn sure shouldn't have an all-white jury when the defendant is a black defendant, when the defendant is black. I ain't never seen no all-black jury. Okay? So if I ain't never seen no all-black jury, I should never see an all-white jury. Okay? People keep saying, no, they ain't white. For all intents and purposes, to us black people, they all white. They can be Indian, they can be Hispanic, all you want to. To us black people, that's all white. Okay? That kind of imbalance raises eyebrows, especially in a place like Collin County. The trial judge rejected those challenges, said the strikes were legitimate. Appellate lawyers are going to ask, did the judge get that ruling right under the law? If the higher court says no, if they find those strikes cross the line, a new trial could be on the table for Karmelo. That don't mean it's guaranteed. It means it's a real issue they get to review. That's number one. Number two, evidentiary rulings. This is where things get technical as well. Did the judge keep out witnesses who should have been allowed to testify? Did they block evidence that might have helped Karmelo's self-defense case? Or on the flip side, let in stuff that should have stayed out? Why didn't Austin Metcalf's brother testify? Austin Metcalf's brother would have testified. Did you push him? Did y'all shove him? Did y'all attack him first? Was it just you? Was it your brother? You said that you didn't see the knife. So that tells me that you were behind Karmelo. You were behind Karmelo. So why were you standing behind Karmelo and Austin was standing in front of Karmelo? Apparently, to me, that would mean that the boy would have been circled. The boy would have been surrounded. That's what that looks like to me. You didn't see the knife, so you apparently was behind him. You were behind him. You didn't see the knife. So why were you behind him? I'm just saying, these are questions that I would bring up, okay? Okay? It don't mean that a new trial or anything is guaranteed. It means real issues need to get reviewed, okay? People who could have came forward did stuff that was supposed to be in the trial wasn't put in the trial, like Austin Metcalf's brother. They see the whole picture. These appellate court lawyers see the whole picture. If something important got wrongly excluded, person got wrongly excluded, evidence got wrongly excluded, and it actually could have made a difference, that's the kind of error that could blow up a conviction on appeal. Thirdly, the jury instructions. Sometimes the whole case turns on one or two sentences that the judge read to the jury before they went to deliberations. Jurors have to follow the law exactly as the judge explains it. If those instructions got the law on self-defense wrong or left out something critical about sudden passion or reasonable fear, that's serious business. One bad sentence in the jury charge has overturned plenty of verdicts before. Fourth, prosecutorial misconduct. Did the prosecutors go too far in their arguments, make improper comments, ask questions they had no business asking? Okay. One question that they asked that I don't think they should have been asking is, how do you think somebody, no, they asked them a legal question. I can't remember what it was, but they asked the jurors a legal question when they were interviewing them, or they asked the witness. They had to ask the witness a legal question, and the witnesses had no reason to answer that question because they're not legal authority. So why would you need to ask these witnesses this legal question? There's some issues that might be in there. We don't know. But if the defense objected at the time and the judge let it slide, appellate lawyers will be all over that. Here's what I'm not saying. I'm not saying any of this definitively happened or that the original trial was rigged. I'm not saying that. I'm saying these are exactly the kind of technical line by line issues that smart appellate teams get paid, or in this case, work pro bono to hunt down. Karmelo Anthony just brought in a whole new crew led by civil rights attorney Lee Merritt. They're not out here retrying the facts or putting on a whole new show. They are dissecting the record, every objection, every ruling, every transcript page, looking for legal errors big enough to force the court to take another look. And believe me, for me, them going into the deliberation room and them coming out within 3 hours and him getting sentenced to 35 years tells me you already had that in your mind that that's what was going to happen. So none of the evidence made any sense to you. Y'all, none of that made any sense. The only thing y'all saw was a white dead boy on the sidewalk, and it was a black guy who did it. Okay, that's what it sounds like to me. Just can't. No, he's white guy. Let's give him 35 years. And you didn't consider whether it was self-defense or not. It would never have been self-defense. Was self-defense presented appropriately? Was self-defense? Did you have witnesses? Did you have people that supported this self-defense? Were there people who said Karmelo was sitting down minding his own business and y'all walked up and y'all jumped in his face? You brought 3, 4, 5 different guys with y'all and y'all jumped in his face? Did you have witnesses saying that? What happened? Okay. Appeals are supposed to protect everybody's rights, including the kids. But it ain't a get out of jail free card when the evidence was strong, the video was clear, and a jury already spoke. If real mistakes were made, fix them. But if this is just another round of find a technicality to free the guy, then we're doing our community a wrong again. We can demand fairness without denying the facts. That's the balance we got to hold. Okay? But we got to talk about the fifth factor, the elephant stomping all over the courtroom, the court of public opinion. Long before Karmelo Anthony ever sat down in the Cullen County courtroom, this tragedy had already been tried, convicted, and turned into a damn circus on the internet. Viral videos, polarizing headlines, GoFundMes, hot takes flying left and right. A messy, painful, split-second confrontation between two teenagers got stripped down, edited, and turned into a full-blown culture war. You got people on the black people on the right saying he got railroaded. He didn't get a fair trial. He couldn't have got a fair trial. He didn't have any black people on the jury. You got all that. Then you got white people on the other side, mostly white people on the other side, talking about, oh, that's your whole culture. That's your whole thing, even though only 1% of black people commit crimes. It's not our whole culture. We don't say that when y'all shoot up churches and schools. We don't say that when you white folks do that. So stop saying it's a black culture thing. It's not a black culture thing. Okay? Self-defense or cold-blooded murder. And once that narrative machine got rolling, it poisoned everything. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe button. You guys come in and you never hit the like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate people hitting the like button, the subscribe button to carry on with new content. This is the dangerous part, though. When a case blows up nationally like this, it makes it damn near impossible for anybody to get a truly fair trial. How do you seat 12 impartial jurors who haven't already picked a side? You got regular folks, mamas, daddies, working people supposed to walk into that jury box and forget everything they saw on TikTok, Instagram, and Fox News and CNN and only judge what's presented inside those four walls? I don't think so. Of course he couldn't get a fair trial like that. After a whole year of algorithmic outrage, after memes, cash apps, strangers dissecting the families, motives, fundraising, and every little detail, be serious. Oh, let me address this one thing. There was a GoFundMe for Karmelo Anthony. Karmelo Anthony, the funds out of that went to his lawyers and to his family and everything else. Okay? It doesn't, GoFundMes don't specify where the money goes. It just gets put into the coffers. And the judge accepts it or the judge doesn't accept it, X, Y, and Z, whatever. All right? It wasn't a matter of family burning through the money or anything like that. That's what we hear from goofies online. But some of y'all mentally ill, so I get it. But I digress. The defense was loud about how black prospective jurors got struck. And yeah, I've been saying it. I've been saying this. An all-white jury deciding a black boy's fate in a racially charged case like this raises serious questions to me. When you mix real concerns about jury selection with a toxic outside environment, dripping in racial tension, fear, and preconceived ideas, the margin for error gets razor thin. The justice system is supposed to operate like a vacuum, clean, focused only on the facts and the law. But in high-profile cases, that vacuum leaked really badly. It leaked suspicion. It leaked bias. It leaked prejudice. It leaked racial prejudice. It leaks the weight of the whole country watching and choosing teams like it's a sports game. I know how the media loves to twist stories involving young black men. I get all that. I've seen it too many times, but I also know this. Turning every tragedy into a racial spectacle before the evidence is even fully in doesn't help Karmelo. It doesn't help Austin's grieving family, and it damn sure doesn't help our community learn lessons we need to learn. Misinformation about what really happened in that tent, about who provoked what, about the character of those boys. It also clouds the truth. And let me say this. Here's the thing. Any person walking on the street, if somebody came up to you and pushed you and shoved you and everything else, you are 9 times out of 10 going to push and shove and do whatever else back to them. 9 times out of 10 you're going to do it. Okay? I'm never going to argue the fact that Karmelo stabbed Austin. I said from the beginning, it's the proportionality. Did he fear enough for his life that pulling out a Swiss Army knife felt normal to him because he was surrounded or felt threatened by these individuals? Did he? Nobody can tell you that except Karmelo Anthony. So why didn't Karmelo Anthony take the stand? Okay. Nobody can tell you how he felt except him. Okay. So while the appellate team does their technical work, we need to be honest about this too. The court of public opinion already rendered its verdict in 1,000 comment sections. Now the actual courts have to try to clean up the mess and find real justice. Because I don't think 35 years is real justice. I don't think that's real justice. Okay? That's a heavy lift for me. Appeals can find legal errors, but they can't erase the position or the poison that was poured into the well before the gavel even began to get banged. This is why we have to do better. We can demand fairness and scrutinize the system without pretending facts don't exist. Our children's lives, all the children's lives, are worth more than clicks and narratives and tribal cheering. Let the appellate court do its job without the circus. It's going to take a while, months, if not years. But let's also call out how the internet turned this family's pain into entertainment. Both of these families' pain into entertainment. Y'all did that. Turned both of these families' pain into entertainment. That part is not right either. Does he deserve the pro bono? Does he deserve the appeal? Okay. If you ask the public, especially on social media, you get 2 completely different answers depending on which side you're on. Emotions running hot. One side screaming, "Free Karmelo." He was defending himself. The other side yelling, "Justice was served. 35 years ain't enough." 35 years. If you take in everything in its totality, he didn't deserve 35 years. If you take everything into account, his self-defense, the fact that Austin and his friends made that confrontation happen. They didn't have to make that confrontation happen. They made the confrontation happen. True enough, Karmelo is the one who stabbed, but they made that confrontation happen. If I don't go into a grocery store, I can't steal nothing from the grocery store if I don't go into it. I can't get into no fight and stab somebody if don't nobody confront me and put me in danger or put me in harm's way or make me feel as though I'm in harm's way. So there's some accountability that needs to be taken on Austin's part as well. So I think all of that should have been taken into account when they made that sentencing. Everybody's taking into account their team or going for their team like it's a football game instead of dead child and a ruined life. But if you ask the actual law, the answer gets a lot clearer and a lot less emotional. Here it is, plain as English. Every single one of us, black, white, rich, poor, deserves a trial where the rules are followed to the law. Not because we like the defendant, not because of his race or his sob story, but because that's how we protect all of us. If the rule gets broken in a way that could have changed the outcome, then yes, he deserves another shot. Hold on. Okay. And this is exactly why this new legal team matters. This ain't some overworked public defender trying to clear a crowded docket before lunch. No. Karmelo Anthony just pulled together a powerhouse coalition. Civil rights heavyweight, seasoned appellate specialists, folks connected to Ben Crump Law, the Texas NAACP, and other top-tier talent. And they've stepped into pro bono mode for free at no cost to him and his family, which tells me they see something. They see something in this case. Now stop and think about that for a second. Why would a group of highly respected, highly sought after attorneys, people with full calendars already, reputations on the line already, and businesses to run already, drop everything to take on a high-profile murder appeal for free. Why do you think they would do that? And it ain't one, it ain't two, it ain't three, it's about 6 or 7 of them mugs. High-profile, sought-after attorneys, people with full calendars, reputations on the line. Take his case for free. These lawyers don't chase lost causes for likes or clout. They don't sign their names to a losing docket just to look good on the camera. If they didn't see something real, a legitimate, reversible legal error buried somewhere in that trial record, they wouldn't be touching this with a 10-foot pole. I guarantee you that. They're not doing this because they think it's a slam dunk. They're doing it because they believe the record deserves a serious, independent, line-by-line autopsy. They're looking for those technical cracks we talked about earlier. Y'all know when people get off on murder. Y'all know when people get off on all kinds of technicalities. Y'all know that it happens. But you got a dream team behind this boy, pro bono. These people dropped everything they got going on to come to that boy's defense. Tells me they see something that we don't. They know something that we don't. Jury selection problems, excluded evidence, bad jury instruction, prosecutory overreach, all of it. They see a fight worth having, a fight that could expose whether the system actually worked the way it was supposed to or whether shortcuts and pressure got in the way. Was there what is it called? A conflict of interest? Did the judge know the prosecution? Did the judge socialize with the boy's family? Did the boy's family know the prosecutors? Did the boy's family know anybody? Did the family, the judge, all of that's going to be examined. They got investigating people right now. They hunting down everybody that was in that damn tent. Everybody in that tent is going to get looked at. Everybody in that tent is going to be investigated. Everybody, family, everybody's family. Judge, everybody is going to get examined. Everybody going to get investigated. I'm not saying they're going to win. Appeals are tough, uphill battles. Most don't result in new trials, but their environment tells me something important. There are serious questions that are worth asking. And while they fight in the appellate courts, we in the community need to keep our eyes open too. Demand fairness without demanding fairy tales. Support accountability for our young people without turning every conviction into proof of systematic evil. Because at the end of the day, if the rules were broken, fix it. If they weren't, then the verdict will stand. That's how a system is supposed to work for everybody. This case is bigger than Karmelo Anthony, okay? It's about whether we still believe in real due process or if we're let emotion, race, viral noise take over completely. I'm watching. We all should be watching. Y'all please hit the like, share, and subscribe button, please, and thank you. I'd appreciate it. I'd appreciate it. So let's wrap up this talk. Winning an appeal, it's hard, very hard. Appellate courts don't sit up there playing Monday morning quarterback on the facts. They defer to the jury because those 12 people actually looked the witnesses in the eye, heard the voices, saw the video, and made their decision. Appeals are mostly about legal mistakes. Did the judge mess up the law in a way that mattered? Not would we have voted differently? Legal experts will tell you straight. Overturning a jury verdict is an uphill battle unless there's some serious, significant error that can't be ignored. Now, I don't want to make it as though this team is going to go out and get evidence. The team is not going to go out and get evidence. They're just going to ensure that the record was thorough the way it should have been. They're going to ensure of that. Maybe they might get it. Maybe people might get investigated. Maybe people won't. I don't know how this whole appellate thing works, okay? But I'm saying they're going to turn over every rock, every stone, okay? So I'm not finna hype anybody up and say Karmelo Anthony is definitely getting a brand new trial. I'm not saying that. This is not going to be a trial. This is going to be a legal process. I don't know that unless they overturn something that's really, really detrimental and it could change the outcome. Nobody knows that yet. The ink is barely dry on his conviction. But I also ain't going to dismiss the whole appeal just because a jury said guilty. History is full of convictions that were rock solid, and survived every appeal. It's also full of convictions that looked good on the surface, but hid real injustices that got corrected later. That's why we have this process. Here's what we can actually look forward to next. Don't expect no dramatic courtroom fireworks with new witnesses and viral moments anytime soon. The real action is moving behind the scenes now. Cold, clinical, calculated, slowly. First, the new defense team is going to demand the full trial transcripts, every piece of evidence, and the complete court record from the Collin County District Clerk. Then this thing heads to the 5th District Court of Appeals in Dallas. We talking lengthy written briefs where they lay out every alleged error line by line. The state of Texas is going to clap back hard. They're going to defend the conviction and argue that even if something slipped, it was harmless error. It was a harmless error, but that didn't change the outcome. And that might very well be the case. Later down the line, we might see oral arguments. Those heavyweight appellate attorneys, including the civil rights voices, standing in front of 3 judges, looking them dead in the eyeball, fighting over the constitutional fine print. Jury selection fairness. What evidence got in or was kept out? Jury instructions, the impact of all pretrial publicity, racial tension. All of that goes into an appeal. It's intellectual combat, not emotional theater. This process is not days or weeks. We're talking months, possibly years. That's the reality of appellate courts. But pay attention to this. The original trial was about what actually happened in the tent during that rainy day in Frisco. The confrontation, the knife, the tragic choice. The appeal is now about something much deeper. What happened to the Constitution inside that courtroom? Did the system bend under pressure? Were the rules followed fairly? Was Karmelo Anthony afforded the due process every American is supposed to get? Whether you believe that 35-year sentence was justice served for a young life taken too soon, or whether you think it was tainted by a flawed process in a charged environment, the final word on the Karmelo Anthony case has not been written yet. So it is more to say. We're going to keep watching. I'll keep breaking it down for you. In the meantime, let's pray for both families carrying this pain. And let's remember, real justice isn't about what feels good on social media. I don't care about social media. I don't care what you say, what you think, how you feel. It's about the truth, accountability, and a system that works for all of us, not just the loudest voices. Right off the bat, I told you all this was a proportionality case. Did he act in proportion to the threat? Did he feel enough of a threat that he felt it was reasonable to pull out a Swiss Army knife? And people keep saying it's a utility knife. The name of it is a Swiss Army knife. That's what it's called, a Swiss Army knife, not a utility, utility knife or whatever. It's a Swiss Army knife. Okay. I said proportionality would be what they would be thinking about. So it's still the same way, but I'm not a lawyer that would be on a case like that. So I wouldn't know what an appeal people would be looking at. But all I'm saying to you is all of those 6, 7 high-powered attorneys didn't drop everything just to come over there and help that boy and think they couldn't help him some way, somehow. They may not even be thinking about getting him off for the charge. They might be thinking that he deserves a lesser charge. There's extenuating circumstances. The fact that he felt threatened. We can never, ever, ever be in the shoes of that boy, ever, 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 and say how much of fear that we felt or how much fear that he felt. We can never be in his shoes. Okay? So you can't say, oh, well, he didn't feel that afraid, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he was selling wolf tickets and so was Austin Metcalf. There's plenty of things that could be put into the transcript that may turn this case around. We don't know. We don't know. Okay? I don't know. I couldn't even begin to know. All I know is he has a high-powered team, and that high-powered team smells something wrong with this trial. And that might be enough to get it overturned. It might be enough to get his sentence reduced. It might. We don't know. All we know is these guys are going to assemble what they need to assemble, and they ain't going to present it until it's ready to be presented, and we won't hear about it because we won't be there when they present it to the so I guess it may be Supreme Court and appellate court. I'm not sure how that works. Okay. So please hit the like, share, and subscribe button for me. I bring you content like this mostly Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock. Sometimes I drop stuff at 7 o'clock in the morning. You know, when I feel like dropping it at 7 o'clock in the morning. I appreciate all who came out. I appreciate your old and new. Okay. Please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Everybody knows how YouTube works. I would appreciate the like. Okay. I'm just bringing you facts. I don't have a dog in the fight. Who cares? Whatever. I think 35 years is a little too extreme, but I'm not a juror, so I didn't hear the evidence or anything else. But 35 years to me seems extreme, but that's it. He should have been convicted, but not for 35 years. So please hit the like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. I appreciate all of you guys. I appreciate all of you guys here. I appreciate everything you do and all of you guys here.